Welcome to day 2, our lesson time as we look into what the Bible tells us that happened in those first days. And we literally did the first days. We did when God created everything. And if you remember yesterday, we talked about that God did this all for us. He had us in his mind already, and he made all of creation, from the stars we see at night and the sun that rises in the morning to the oceans and the rivers and the trees and the animals, all these things that he made for our enjoyment. And so God had initially, it was just two, Adam and Eve, that were there, and he made a special garden for them. And he said that I want you to enjoy. I want you to be able, to eat of any tree and enjoy its fruits. He says any tree but one. And God was seeing, will man obey me? Will man follow me? Will they do? Because God made us for a relationship with him. And that's why he made us in his image. And so in the garden, he made various trees, but there was this one particular tree. And it was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so he put, it was a fruit tree. We're not sure. People say it was an apple, but we don't know what it was. It's some type of fruit in the tree. But he said, if you eat of that, you will have the knowledge of good and evil. But he says, but you'll be disobeying, and on the day that you eat of it, that you, Adam and Eve, will die. And so you have Adam and Eve in the garden. And let me draw them real quick. And you have Eve looking up here in that tree. And you have Adam. Right beside. And there's one other creature there. The Bible says that the enemy, Satan, came as a serpent. Into the tree. And he talked to Eve. And he said, did God really say that you're going to die? You're not really going to die. He just doesn't want you to know more. This will make you know the knowledge of good and evil. He doesn't want you to become like him. And unfortunately, Eve listened to the liar. And she took the fruit. And tasted it. And she gave some to Adam. And he took of the fruit. And he ate. And the Bible says they realized that they were naked. They realized it and they were ashamed. See, before there was no shame, there was nothing wrong. And so they were there and they knew that there was something wrong. And then in that time of the day when God met with them in the cool of the day, they heard God coming. And so they hid. They probably found a big bush or something and ran and hid in the bush. We'll just have their heads popping up. How about that? And they were scared. What if God finds out? What if he finds out that we ate? What's he going to do? What's going to happen to us? And so there they are scared. And then God says, where are you? Where are you, Adam? Why did you hide? And he said, because I heard you coming and I was afraid because I was naked. Who told you you were naked? And then God asked the question, did you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And you know what Adam did? He did what we do. It's her fault. And she did what we do. Oh, no. It was the snake's fault. The snake told me to eat it. The snake tricked me. And so God took them and said, because you ate of it, Eve, there's going to be sorrow in your life. It's a little tear there. That there'll be pain when you give birth. He said to Adam that by the sweat of your brow, you'll have to labor now. That work's going to be hard to do. That life's going to be hard for you. And it seemed hopeless. But then God gave a judgment to the snake. And he said to the snake, now you are going to have to crawl on your belly. I don't know what snakes did before, but you are going to crawl on your belly. And the seed, the descendant from Eve, that there'll one day be one that comes from her, a descendant, a great grandchild from her is going to come. And he says that you will bruise his heel. Just to let you know, that's supposed to be a foot. You're going to bruise his heel, but he will bruise your head. And God made a promise that one day from Eve there'll be someone who comes that makes all of this right. We're going to hear more about that. Because they had that knowledge of the good and evil, because they disobeyed God, they did have children. And their children disobeyed God. And they had children. And they disobeyed God. And it got worse and worse and worse. And this is where the story of Noah's ark comes in. The Bible says that everybody on earth had gotten so bad, and there was only one man, one family on earth that still wanted to have a relationship with God, that still sought God. And that was Noah. And God says, I'm going to start over. I'm going to wipe out, I'm going to bring a flood. And so I want you to build an ark. What's an ark? Well, an ark's a big boat. And so he said, I want you to build an ark. And it took years and years and years, many decades of Noah building the ark. And I want you to build an ark, and I want you to gather 2 of every animal on that ark. So when I come and bring judgment on mankind because of them being evil, that way you and your family who seeks me and 2 of all the animals will be safe. And so Noah built an ark. And he put a big door on it and a ramp so all the animals could walk up in it. And God brought the animals to him. And he filled up the ark, and they prepared for it to rain 40 days and 40 nights. And so when everyone got in, God himself closed the door, and then the rains came. I'm just drawing the same ark again. This must be awful rocky seas here. And the waters came and covered all the land. And all were destroyed except for Noah and his family and all the animals that they had put. And they were there for a long time until finally the ark rested on a mountaintop. Mount Ararat, they called it. And even then they sat for a while, and then finally God says, you can open the door, you could let everybody out. And so the animals, they started coming out, and Noah and his family came out. And here's the mountain right there. And God said, I want you to know, I'm going to make a promise. See, God made a promise over here saying, one day, Eve, I'm going to make this right. And then he told Noah, one day, yes, I'm going to destroy the world, but there'll be a day you'll be back on the world. And God says, I promise, I won't do it like this again. I will not flood the earth like I just did. And he says, I want you to have a reminder that I'm a God who keeps his promises. And do you know what God did? He made a sign in the sky. Do you know what that sign was? I know it starts with violet. And then blue. Do you know what I'm drawing yet? What do you see after the rain? A rainbow. I have a piece of paper over there reminding me all the different colors of the rainbow. And orange is dead. It's just not wanting to be there. And God said, I want you, every time it rains and you see the rainbow in the sky, I want you to remember, I keep my promises. That I made this earth for you, and even though you messed up, I have a promise that I'm going to fulfill, that I'm going to bring a descendant of Eve one day to this world that will fix it all. And even though it's so bad that God had to send judgment, even then he kept his promise and had Noah and his family survive. And to let them know, I will never break my promise. So next time you see a rainbow, remember this. God keeps his promises for you. We're going to see how he did this tomorrow. Have fun at crafts.